Greetings, owners and coaches. It's your commissioner here, getting ready to kick off week 3. Y'all can see I got the game on, or at least the pregame on, getting ready for this week's game. So very exciting first 2 weeks of the season. I'm sure week 3 is going to be no different. Man, it seems like there's a crazy tight game every week, and I'm loving to see that, although the loser probably isn't. I'm going to run through the picks real quick tonight, so probably won't be as much breakdown as normal, but we do have a couple of news and nuggets to go over. Big thing about week 3 is it's the last round or the last game of the first round of the divisional games. So if you start off this season behind the 8 ball, some teams looking at 0-3, it's going to be tough to make it up during the non-conference games, because at the end of the season, when you're back in the conference, you really got to go undefeated there. So this week's games are super impactful for the rest of the season, and it's an important week for a couple of you guys out there. And so I made mention to that. There's 3 teams that are undefeated so far this season, and those 3 teams that are undefeated are Wolf, Bulldogs, and Power T. All 3 of those teams are sitting at 2-0. We got 3 teams that don't have any wins, and so I'm not going to bring them up. I don't want to shame them. Those 3 teams know who they are. It's important for them to get wins, and again, there's a couple of games where they're going up against the undefeated Madness, and we'll get to that in the matchups. The other thing is, everybody else is pretty much knotted up at 1-1. And so in all those games, you'll have some teams that are going to be below 500 and some teams will be above 500. So again, 2-1, 3-0, those teams are sitting pretty. Those teams, 1-2, the teams that's 0-3, spells a little bit of trouble heading into the divisional matchup, and it makes it tougher to make up for the rest of the season. Also, too, want to remind everybody, continue doing the Pick'em. Pick'em is heating up already. We got the greatest show on paper who's leading everybody with Pick'em right now with 21 good picks, not consecutive, but 21 good picks. We got AGM for Life, Swagner, and Bulldogs, who are all sitting in second place with 18 great picks. So without further ado, let's get to the matchups. Game of the week, Baker King versus STL. These guys have been battling out for years. This league's been around for 16 or 17 years, and I feel like every time Baker King and STL matches up, it's always going to be a game of the ages, and I think it's going to be any different this year. Baker King showed last week. I mean, he lost to Popcorn. He lost to Power T, but Power T put up over 300 points, and it's hard to beat a team when you put up over 300 points. And what's really tough is that Baker King had a big game too, and had he gotten any points from his defense, I think we might have been looking at a first time having 2 teams battle out over 300. But he's going up against STL this week. I think we're going to see a rebound. STL was able to pull off a win. He beat AGM for Life. AGM's got Kirk Cousins. He's got Saquon Barkley. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's got a bunch of great guys. The big key this week, though, is I think this is time for Pitts to finally step up and show everybody why they consider him as a generational talent with tight end. So we know we got Tyreek Hill on the other side. We know what Tyreek Hill can do. I think he put up 50 or 60 points last week. Jalen Hurts is the real deal. Him and Kirk Cousins will battle it out this week. But I think I kind of let y'all know where I'm going in this one. I'm picking STL to take the victory. STL goes to 2-1. Baker King goes to a strong 1-2. But again, I'm not counting Baker King out at all. That team's going to be one to reckon with for the rest of the season. Next game, we're looking at King of the Gridiron versus Swagner. Both of those teams come in this game 1-1. King of the Gridiron, he's got a victory. His team doesn't seem to be the strongest, especially as long as Dak is out, and that impacts other players on his team. With that said, Swagner, he's got Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is the dude's electric. Every week he pulls a rabbit out of his hat, some kind of crazy play. I think last week they said he ran 85 yards just to score a 2-point conversion or something crazy like that. So I'm picking Swagner to win this game. It should be a tightly contested game, but I think Swagner has enough firepower, especially as long as Connor is even 75%. If they're going to give him 75% of those touches on Monday or Sunday, whenever they play, I think we're looking at Swagner getting that victory. The next game, Laugh Now versus GOAT. Laugh Now lost his quarterback last week and still was able to get the victory. I don't know how that happened, but Laugh Now being 1-1, GOAT being 1-1. GOAT's team is a legit team. He's got depth. He's got Aaron Rodgers at the top of it. I think we'll see Aaron Rodgers progress even more as the season goes on. But I don't think Laugh Now is going to have enough for this week. And Laugh Now, I know he's very superstitious. So he's probably going to like that I'm not picking him this week. But we also know how his superstition works too. Sometimes it's just a reality that your team's not going to win, man. But quarterback is going to be the big play in this week. He's got guys, but Trey Lance was heading somewhere for him for this season. I think he built his team around that. And that's going to change things. Deebo Samuel, I think, will still be good, but I think this week this week looks like Goat's going to have the better matchup and Goats will win. Next game is Who's Your Daddy versus Infantry Warrior. Who's Your Daddy is one of those teams that doesn't have any wins, but he's put together a really good roster. Unfortunately, he's just playing some teams that are playing out of their mind as well. Infantry Warrior, Derrick Henry looks like he's lost a step, but that hasn't impacted how the games have played for him. So I think Derrick Henry can still get back to form. He doesn't have to be the 2,000-yard rusher, but at least he can get some touchdowns and get into the red zone for him. I think this is a Joe Burrow week, though. I think this is a Joe Burrow week. I think I think Dalvin Cook gets into a bigger game. He's got Nick Chubb going tonight. He'll make a better decision, put Nick Chubb in the lineup instead of benching him for Kareem Hunt. I don't know who in America did that other than Who's Your Daddy, but he'll write all those decisions. Who's Your Daddy gets the win. He goes to 2-1, and Infantry Warrior goes to 1-2. 1-2. It will be Who's Your Daddy, and Infantry Warrior will be 1-2 as well. Next up, we got Bulldogs, who's 2-0 versus the Dark Knight. Dark Knight's got Patrick Mahomes. After that, it's not a whole lot else. Devontae Adams had a down week last week. Everybody was projecting him to have a big week. I think he does rebound, but it's just something about having those Tampa Bay Buccaneers and having that offense set up the way it does. I think they get back to playing the lights out ball that they usually are. And of course, they're not playing the Saints. So the Buccaneers should pull this out, which means Bulldogs will have enough to beat Dark Knight. So Dark Knight will still end up winless. The next game, we got Fire Dogs versus Greatest Show on Paper. Greatest Show on Paper, that roster, it tricks you sometimes. Sometimes those guys can score 300. Those guys can, some week they'll do 150. You just never know in that matchup. But I think Derek Carr, I think A.J. Brown, I think those two players right there, that's enough to overcome what the Greatest Show on Paper put out. Although Diggs and Josh Allen, every week, man, that duo is going to always put up, it seems like, over 100 points every week. So it won't be easy, but I think at the end of the day, I take it back. The other thing is it also depends on what happens with Kittle this week, and I still haven't seen him practice. I don't think he plays. I think Fire Dogs has enough. Fire Dogs gets a victory this week. Goes to 2-1, and Greatest Show on Paper goes to 1-2. Then we got Power T, who is 2-0 versus AGM for life. Man, I'm not going to break this game down a whole lot. AGM for life, he's got a decent team, but he's just not got a team. He doesn't have a team that can match what Power T can put out there. Power T showed that he's got two receivers now with Amon-Ra St. Brown and with Jalen Waddle. Those two dudes are studs. And early in the season, I was giving the greatest receiver combination to Baker King. Last week, Power T showed that he's got the most potent wide receiver combo in the league with those two guys. I mean, I think he got 110 points just from them two receivers alone. Josh Allen, we'll see what happens with the ribs. Eckler, he's doing his thing. Andrews is going to always be a top player in fantasy, so he's a tight end that we could always rely on. So I'm picking Power T to win that game. Power T goes to 3-0. AGM for life goes to 0-3. And finally, we got the 1-1 Huckleberry versus the 2-0 Big Wolf. We know what these two teams have. Huckleberry is putting out there Jameis Winston. He's got DeAndre Swift, who's having a great season. Ezekiel Elliott hasn't showed as much. Schultz is a little banged up, so we'll see what happens at tight end. He might have to do a couple of different things, but Waller, I think, rebounds and has a good week. Wolf has got the usual guys, Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Lamar, Freiermuth is going tonight. So we'll put all that. Those guys are excited to practice, excited for the game, but y'all know how I roll. I can't make a pick against my own team due to my affiliation, especially with a big organization as commissioner. So no pick in that game, but good luck to Huckleberry. That's all I got for y'all. So hopefully that went fast. Hopefully y'all got the picks, and I think I'm undefeated so far this season. So I don't get any games wrong. y'all are getting the best fantasy knowledge out there in the industry. So appreciate y'all. Have a good week.